Hey guys, it's SeaJet, and today I'm going to be comparing the glorious Model O- and the Finalmouse Ultralight 2. First, they have a very similar shape. The main difference is the Model O- is a little longer. The Model O- is about 12 centimeters long, while the Ultralight 2 is about 11.5. The width is about the same at 5.3 centimeters in the middle, and the height at the highest point is about 3.5 centimeters on both. These shapes are best for fingertip grip because of the low profile, especially the Ultralight 2 because of the short design. They're also good for claw grip if you don't need your mouse to fill up your palm, like the Endgame XM1 for example. I would not recommend these for palm grip because of the low profile, but it's personal preference, you can use whatever grip you want. For the buttons, the left buttons on both of my Model O- feel very good, but the right buttons on both of my copies feel a bit loose. The left and right buttons on both of my copies have some wobble, which doesn't bother me too much, but they can definitely use improvement. The left and right buttons on the Ultralight 2 are extremely good. They're some of the most crisp buttons I've ever tried, and they feel fairly consistent through both of my copies. There's no wobbling or looseness, unlike the Model O-. One of my complaints about the original Model O were these side buttons, because they feel kind of cheap, they have a bit too much travel, and I personally don't like the glossy coating. Unfortunately, the side buttons on the Model O- are the exact same. The side buttons on the Ultralight 2 are significantly better. They're bigger and stick out more, so they're easier to press. They have a really nice click, they don't have too much travel, and they have a matte coating. The scroll wheels on both of them don't have very well defined steps, but they're smooth and quiet, which some people prefer. Out of the two, the steps are more defined on the Model O-. One of my Ultralight 2 scroll wheels makes a weird clicking sound when scrolling up, but the other one doesn't. And one of my Model O- scroll wheels is really messed up. It almost feels broken, and you're gonna hear it in the sound test. The other one is fine, the steps are smooth and quiet, and it's fairly easy to click in. I would say the scroll wheels on both of them are just okay. And personally, I prefer the Ultralight 2 scroll wheel by a little, just because even though it feels cheaper, I like the smaller size. In my opinion, the Model O- scroll wheel feels a little too big, especially compared to the size of the mouse. Not a big deal or anything, just sort of a nitpick. Anyways, here's a sound test of all the buttons. The sensor on both is the 3360. I'm not going to go into detail about the performance because by now we all know how it performs, it just works. The liftoff distance on the Model O- is under 1 DVD, which you can raise in the software, and a little over 1 DVD on the Ultralight. The polling rate on the Ultralight is limited to 500 Hz, which I don't think is a big deal. I personally don't really notice a difference between 500 and 1000 Hz, but if you want to change it, you can use a third-party software. Same with the DPI, unless you use the third-party software, you're limited to 400, 800, 1600, and 3200. And with the Model O-, you can use the software to change DPI from 400 to 12,000 in steps of 100. You can also change the function of the buttons, add macros, change the lighting, the liftoff distance from 2 to 3 millimeters, the polling rate, and the debounce time. For the cables, they both have a paracord-like cable. The Model O- cable feels a little more flexible, but it's also thicker. They're both pretty good, but still not as good as actual paracords. They both have PTFE mouse feet, but the ones on the Model O- have rounded edges and glide smoother. For the weight, the Ultralight 2 weighs about 51 grams on my scale, and the Model O- weighs about 60 grams. Mainly because the Ultralight is smaller and has holes on the sides. Personally, while I like the lower weight of the Ultralight, I prefer not having holes on the sides because especially when my hands get sweaty, it feels a bit weird on my hand. I can get used to it, but I prefer the sides of the Model O-. Speaking of the sides, you have to squeeze very hard on the Model O- to get the side buttons to click, whereas it's easier on the Ultralight. On both of them, I don't think you'll ever click the side buttons like this under regular use. I would say the overall build quality is better on the Ultralight 2 because the side buttons feel much better, and the left and right buttons are more consistent with no wobbling issues. Other than one of my scroll wheels feeling weird when scrolling up, I have pretty much no complaints about the build quality. With the Model O-, I got 2 copies with loose buttons, and one, as you saw earlier, has an almost broken scroll wheel. I don't know if I just got really unlucky or if these are consistent problems, but I have a feeling these issues might be because of the packaging. Because Glorious, for some reason, ships the mouse with very little protection. Even though the mouse box is nice, they put it in this thin plastic packaging with no bubble wrap or anything. I know they have to cut costs to keep prices low, but I don't think shipping a delicate product like this is a good idea. Also, they're still packaging the cables like this, which has been causing some people's cables to actually break. So hopefully they change how they package their cables and their products in general. One last thing about the Ultralight 2, they come with these infinity skins as you probably know, but first of all, when I removed them, they left a sticky residue that was really annoying to clean. Apparently, they're not supposed to leave any residue, but for me, it did. Second, even though I like the idea of being able to customize the shape and size of your mouse, in my opinion, these were executed poorly. If you put an infinity skin on the left side, the side buttons become harder to press. If you put it on the right side, you can feel this edge depending on how you grip the mouse. This piece doesn't wrap around the mouse very well and looks horrible, and this piece is basically useless because unless you palm grip, which this mouse isn't made for, your hand doesn't touch this part of the mouse. They're also not very durable from what I've heard, and now they're selling replacements for $17, which is a complete ripoff. Some people like and use the infinity skins, which is great, but I think Finalmouse could have done a much better job because this is really just overpriced grip tape. For the prices, just like with the Model O, the Model O- costs $50 for the matte versions and $60 for the glossy versions. The Ultralight 2 was priced at $120, but since they're sold out, you most likely have to pay even more than that. Overall, they're both great mice and they're 2 of my main mice right now. Personally, I find the Model O- more comfortable, but I aim slightly better with the Ultralight 2 because of the shorter length, which allows for more vertical adjustment. Also, the lower weight is nice and I prefer the side buttons. I prefer the sides of the Model O- because they don't have holes, as well as the mouse feet which glide smoother, and I have to say, the lighting looks amazing. What I would improve on the Ultralight 2 is make the scroll wheel steps more defined, round the edges of the mouse feet, and put a better, more flexible cable on it. Something that's closer to an actual paracord. On the Model O-, I would also improve the scroll wheel and the cable, as well as the side buttons, so reduce the amount of travel and use a matte coating instead of glossy, and fix the wobbling and looseness on the left and right buttons. Other than that, like I said, they're both great mice, but I would only recommend the Ultralight 2 to competitive players with smaller hands who fingertip or claw grip, and are willing to pay the expensive price. The Model O- is also great for small to medium hands who fingertip or claw grip, but because of its lower price, it's much easier to recommend. So that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any questions or comments, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.